Hello everyone, I'm Aurora from Susan's family. Today, I'll be introducing a cardigan from our Retro Nostalgia series, E-Square Cardigan. This cardigan is divided into the back piece, left front piece, right front piece, and involves joining together the sleeves, the front band, and pockets. Let's start by learning the crochet technique for the back piece. The back piece is divided into two parts, the body and the bust section. The overall pattern is the same, but for the bust section, the first row and the last few rows require adjusting the stitch techniques to decrease stitches. This forms the underarm, shoulder, and neckline curves. Let's start with the crochet technique for the body section. Begin with a chain cast on, and work back and forth. Several crochet stitches will be applied. All the details are marked on the chart. I won't list them all here. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet technique. To make it easier for you to see clearly, I will use cotton yarn for the demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, let's start with a chain cast on. Refer to the chart for the exact number of stitches. Here, I'm using a smaller number of stitches for the sample swatch. This completes the cast on. Next, we'll work the first row. Follow the chart from right to left. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain for the double crochet. This counts as 1 double crochet. The turning chain corresponds to the last stitch of the foundation chain. Continue by working 1 double crochet into this chain. Insert the hook into the back loop of the chain and crochet. Then skip the next 5 chains on the left side. Work 3 double crochets into the next stitch. Then make 2 chain stitches and 3 double crochets. After completing these, take a look. The stitches worked into this chain together form group 1. Skip the next 5 stitches. In the following chain, work 1 double crochet, 2 chain stitches, and 1 double crochet. After completing these, take a look. The stitches worked into this chain together form group 2. The crocheting pattern for this row is to alternate between group 1 and group 2. Pay attention to the insertion position between motifs. There should be an interval of 5 chain stitches. Let me demonstrate the crochet techniques for both motifs again. Start by skipping 5 chain stitches. Work 3 double crochets into the next stitch. Then make 2 chain stitches and 3 double crochets. This completes group 1. After completing it, skip another 5 stitches. Work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, then make 2 chain stitches and 1 double crochet. This completes group 2. Continue following the previous demonstration, alternating between group 1 and group 2, all the way until 6 stitches remain. You have now reached the corresponding position. Continue by skipping 5 chain stitches. Work 1 DC2 in 1 into the next stitch. The technique for a DC2 in 1 is to work 2 double crochets into the same stitch. First stitch. Second stitch. This results in 2 double crochets in the same position. The DC2 in 1 is now complete. This finishes the first row. Next, we will work on the second row. Refer to the chart from left to right. Make 3 chains as a beginning chain. Then turn the work counterclockwise. Continue working into the stitch below that corresponds to the beginning chain. Work 1 DC3 in 1, 3 double crochets into the same stitch. This means working 3 double crochets into the same stitch. The DC3 in 1 is now complete. Next, take a look at the first row on the left side. Each motif has a chain of 2 chain stitches forming a braid. In the second row, pick up the entire chain braid, alternate crocheting between motif 2 and motif 1. Start by crocheting motif 2. You can also refer to the motif below while crocheting. This means working motif 2 above motif 1. Pay attention to picking up the entire chain braid when crocheting. Then work motif 1 on top of motif 2. Continue alternating between motif 2 and motif 1. Keep going until you finish this row. After completing the last motif, locate the beginning chain of the first row. This is the chain stitch at the very top. Pick up both loops of the chain. Work 1 double crochet 4 stitches into the same stitch, DC4 in 1. That is, work 4 double crochets into the same stitch. Pull through 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. After working DC4 in 1, it's completed. At this point, the second row is finished. Now move on to the third row. This row is similar to the first row. Start by making 3 beginning chains. Then turn the piece counterclockwise. Next, work 1 double crochet into the stitch below the corresponding beginning chain. Work 1 double crochet into that stitch. Then pick up the chain of the motif on the left side. Alternate crocheting pattern 1 and pattern 2. Continue all the way down until the end of the row. At the end of this row, work 1 DC2 in 1 into the beginning chain. Now the third row is completed. From now on, consider the side facing us as the right side of the piece, and place a stitch marker to mark it. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paper clip or safety pin instead. Now let's look at the actual project. The body section of the garment follows the pattern established in rows 2 and 3, alternating as demonstrated. Refer to the previous demonstration, and continue crocheting until there is 1 row left on the body section. Pay attention. Since the pattern has stretchiness, you can measure the width and height after completing row 4. Refer to the width and pattern density provided in the diagram. If there's a significant difference, you need to adjust the tension in your hands, or switch to a different hook size and crochet again. And while crocheting, after every 4 to 6 rows, you should measure the width again. If there's a significant change in dimensions, you may need to undo a few rows and readjust the tension in your hands, or switch to a different hook size and crochet again. Continue crocheting while referring to the diagram. This is the sample swatch for the body piece. With just 1 row remaining, continue to crochet the last row. Start with 2 chain stitches as the beginning chain for the half double crochet, which counts as the first stitch. Then, work into the stitch under the turning chain. Work 1 double crochet, then pick up the left side chain and pull through 2 consecutive double crochets. Next, work 2 half double crochets and 2 double crochets. After completing these, continue on the left side with pattern 2, alternating with pattern 1. Crochet until there is 1 chain left on the left side. Now you have reached this position. Pick up this chain and pull through 2 double crochets, 2 half double crochets and 2 double crochets. Then work 1 double crochet and 1 half double crochet into the beginning chain. This completes the last row of the body panel. Now let's move on to the chest panel. The chest panel is worked directly onto the body panel. The new stitches used include DC2 tog, HDC 3-in-1, and peak stitch. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Let's start with the first row of the chest panel. Continue crocheting with the remaining yarn from the body panel. Work into the stitch under the beginning chain. There is some distance from the end of the previous row, so first, let's secure the yarn tail. Enlarge the loop. Thread it through the yarn ball and gently tighten. This settles the yarn tail. Next, turn the work over. Now we are ready for the first row of the chest panel. Draw the yarn through the stitch position under the beginning chain. This way, the yarn tail transitions to this position. This method is called carrying the yarn. The carried yarn should be level with the work, or slightly longer to prevent the fabric from puckering. Whenever you need to carry the yarn in the future, refer to this demonstration. Now let's crochet this row. Start with 4 chain stitches. Then work into the left side of the foundation chain. Work 1 double crochet. In the next stitch on the left, work 1 DC 2-in-1. Then follow the pattern of alternating between pattern 2 and pattern 1 until you reach the last pattern 2 in the previous row on the left. Now you have reached the corresponding position on the right side of this pattern 2 stitch. Work 1 DC 2-in-1. After completing the double crochet increase, the next step is a peak stitch. Note that here we refer to patterns combining multiple stitches as peak stitch. These are collectively known as peak stitch. When crocheting, just follow the chart. First, pick up the left side chain. Work 1 incomplete double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook, and draw the yarn through. Yarn over again, and draw through the first 2 loops. The incomplete double crochet is now completed. Then skip 1 stitch. In the next stitch, work 1 incomplete treble crochet, yarn over twice. Insert the hook into the stitch, and draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 2 more times. The incomplete treble crochet is now completed. This completes the 2 incomplete stitches corresponding to the chart. Finally, Yarn over and draw through all remaining loops in once. This completes one cluster pattern. At this point, the first row of the front panel is complete. Continue to work even for a few more rows, all the way down to row 20. There are no new stitch techniques in this section, so just follow the chart. Also, pay attention and measure the width after completing several rows of the pattern. This ensures accuracy. Here is the sample swatch after completion. Continue with row 21. Make 2 chain stitches as the starting chain for half double crochets. Then turn the work over. Continue in the corresponding position of the starting chain, and work 1 HDC 2 in 1. That is, make 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. Next, on the left side chain, work 1 double crochet, then 1 chain stitch and 1 double crochet. After completing these, follow the alternating pattern of pattern 1 and pattern 2, all the way to the last chain on the left side. Now you've reached the corresponding position. On this chain, work 1 double crochet, then 1 chain stitch and 1 double crochet. Next, in the starting chain, work 1 HDC 3 in 1, which means making 3 half double crochets consecutively. After completing these, row 21 is finished. For the next row, you need to carry the yarn across. Secure the yarn tail. Then work in the required position. Pay attention that the carrying yarn should not be too tight. Now move on to row 22. Start with 3 chain stitches. Then in the left chain space, work 1 double crochet, followed by 3 half double crochets and 2 double crochets. Continue following the pattern until there are 3 chain loops remaining on the left side. Now you've reached the corresponding position. In this chain space, work 2 double crochets. Then 3 half double crochets. After that, work a DC2 tog. First, work an incomplete double crochet in the current chain loop and the left chain loop. Work 1 incomplete double crochet in each of these loops. Then yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. That completes the DC2 tog. Now row 22 is complete. Move on to row 23. Start by carrying the yarn across. Then refer to the chart and crochet until the final peak stitch. Pay attention as there are stitch changes in this row. Now you've reached this point. Work the corresponding incomplete stitches in the matching stitches. Here, work the incomplete double crochets and incomplete treble crochets. These are the incomplete double crochet and incomplete treble crochet stitches. Then yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook once. This completes the peak stitch. Continue by carrying the yarn across to start row 24. Begin with 3 chain stitches. In the left chain space, work 1/2 double crochet and 2 chains. Then work another peak stitch. Work the corresponding incomplete stitches in the matching stitches. Here, work 2 incomplete double crochets and 1 incomplete treble crochet. Then yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook once. This completes the peak stitch. For any subsequent peak stitch, follow this method to work the corresponding incomplete stitches. After completing them, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook once. Refer to the chart for the specific insertion points of the incomplete stitches. After crocheting, stretch the loop. Leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Thread the yarn tail through the loop and pull tight. This completes the row. For row 24, crochet another group on the left side of the chest piece. Make a slip knot with the yarn tail. Then hook it out at the desired position. This connects the new yarn. Next, crochet 4 chain stitches, followed by 1 DC2 tog. Two chain stitches and 1 peak stitch. This peak stitch combines half double crochet and double crochet stitches. Start with an incomplete half double crochet, yarn over and draw the yarn through. The incomplete half double crochet is now complete. Continue with an incomplete double crochet. Then yarn over and draw through all loops in once. This completes the peak stitch. After crocheting, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. This completes row 24 on the left side as well. At this point, the chest piece section is finished. Now let's move on to the right front piece. According to the pattern, it is divided into 2 sections. The pattern of the first section is identical to the overall pattern of the back piece. Only the beginning and ending stitch techniques are slightly different. This section is crocheted using 2 strands of the field impression yarn. There's no need to match colors while crocheting. Simply combine the 2 strands and crochet as one. Note that this type of yarn can be a bit tricky to undo once crocheted. Pay attention not to crochet incorrectly. Since the front and back pieces are crocheted using two different types of yarn, the density might vary. Be mindful of the actual project dimensions while crocheting, or compare it with the back piece. Recheck the dimensions after completing a few rows. This prevents the fabric piece from puckering. Here is the sample swatch after finishing the first section. Continue with the second section. This section uses two colors of yarn, alternating as you crochet. No need to break the yarn while crocheting. The new stitches used include single crochet and slip stitch. Let's start with row 1. Join the yarn at the required position. There are no new stitch techniques in this row. Just follow the chart while crocheting. After completing it, this yarn will be used again in row 3, which is one row apart. Secure the yarn tails. Row 1 is now completed. Continue with row 2. There's no need to turn the piece. Pick up the other color of yarn. Join the yarn at the position of the beginning chain on the right side of row 1. Then, refer to the chart to complete this row. The general pattern for this row is to pick up the chain and crochet 3 double crochets and 1 chain. Pay attention as the stitch techniques at the beginning and end are slightly different. After completing it, this yarn will be used again in row 4, which is 2 rows apart. Secure the yarn tail. Row 2 is now completed. Next, let's move on to row 3. First, take the yarn from row 1 and hook it out at the required position. This way, the yarn tail transitions to the needed position. Continue crocheting row 3. Now, for the second part, you'll alternate crocheting with 2 colors. Since each color is used every other row, it will be used again in the next row, so there's no need to break the yarn. Just carry the yarn across to the required position and continue crocheting. Also, turn the work every 2 rows. Refer to the previous demonstration. Follow the chart and continue crocheting all the way down to row 26. This is what the swatch looks like when completed. Now, let's move on to row 27. Make 1 beginning chain. The beginning chain doesn't count as 1 stitch. Continue with 2 single crochets. 1 half double crochet and 1 chain. Then follow the chart to complete this row. After completing row 27, secure the yarn tail. Now let's move on to row 28. Be mindful not to pull the carried yarn too tight. Then make 2 chains. Skip the chain stitches and make 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet. Then follow the chart to complete this row. After completing row 28, secure the yarn tail. Now let's move on to row 29. Follow the chart until there is 1 slip stitch remaining. After completing this slip stitch, pull the yarn through and fasten off. Do the same for row 30 after it's completed. Up to this point, the second section is finished. This concludes the right front piece. Next, we will crochet the left front piece. It will also be divided into 2 sections. The pattern for the first section is identical to the overall pattern of the back piece, with only slight differences in the beginning and ending stitch techniques. Pay attention to the finished product dimensions while crocheting. The second section is crocheted vertically. This part requires switching colors while crocheting. Since the intervals are quite far apart, you can simply fasten off the yarn here, and then join a new yarn to continue crocheting. Additionally, because 2 types of yarn are used together, make sure to fit your work well with the back piece as you crochet. Prevent any deviation in dimensions. At the end of the 5th row, after completing the last double crochet, continue with a chain stitch for turning. Be mindful not to make this chain too tight. Then proceed to work back and forth. You will encounter a new stitch technique, the half double crochet decrease. The method for HDC2 tog is: create 2 incomplete half double crochets in the required position, then yarn over and draw through all loops once. That's how you complete the HDC2 tog. Apart from the new stitch techniques, the rest of the crochet methods have been demonstrated before. Continue referring to the chart to complete the second part. This concludes the left front piece section. Next, let's learn how to join the pieces. Here, you need to attach the left front piece, the first and second parts, the side seams of the back body and front pieces, as well as the diagonal edges of the shoulders. The joining method is the same for all these areas. Let me demonstrate the joining of the back piece and the right front piece, specifically focusing on the diagonal edge of the shoulder. I will demonstrate this process. First, place the right sides of the pieces together. Mark the highest point near the neckline with a stitch marker. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paper clip or safety pin instead. Then, mark the highest point on the side seam of the chest piece and the second part. Use a stitch marker for this as well. These 2 marked positions are where you need to join the diagonal edge of the shoulder. You can add a few more stitch markers evenly to secure the pieces, making it easier for the subsequent joining. Next, take out the yarn from the back piece. Leave a tail and make a slip knot. Insert your hook under both edges of the fabric pieces and pull the yarn through. Make 1 chain stitch to secure. Then make another chain stitch. After that, leave a small interval, being careful not to exceed the width of this chain stitch. Continue by inserting the hook through both layers of the fabric and make 1 slip stitch. Make sure to insert the hook into the edge of the fabric. Try to pick up 2 strands from each layer of the fabric edge for crocheting. For this slip stitch, don't pull it too tight. Notice that the joining is done by alternating chain stitches and slip stitches. Work this pattern along the edge where you need to join. Continue like this to finish joining this entire edge. Pay attention to the interval between slip stitches. Don't space them too far apart to prevent the fabric piece from puckering. When crocheting and you encounter yarn tails or carried yarn, place them above the hook and work them in together. Pay attention to the diagonal edge of the shoulder after completing it, ensuring it is even without puckering. After finishing, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. This completes the diagonal edge of this shoulder. Follow the demonstration here as a reference to join the side edge of the second section of the left front piece with the last row of the first section. Make sure both ends are aligned. Then, for the diagonal edge of the other shoulder and the side edges of the body, align and join them with the back piece respectively. That concludes the joining process. Next, we'll work on the sleeves. The sleeves are crocheted around the armholes after all the pieces are joined. They are divided into the left sleeve and the right sleeve. Each sleeve is made up of the sleeve body and the cuff. Both sleeves are worked using the same crochet method. The only differences are in the color scheme and the insertion position for the first round. Pay attention while crocheting. Start with the left sleeve first, then move on to the right sleeve. When crocheting the right sleeve, compare it with the left sleeve as you work. For the left sleeve, after completing each round, you don't need to fasten off the yarn. Carry the yarn across to the corresponding position and continue crocheting. The right sleeve requires switching colors at wider intervals. You can fasten off the yarn each time and then restart crocheting. Next, I'll use the left sleeve as an example to demonstrate the method for crocheting the sleeve. Take out the required yarn, make a slip knot, and draw through at the desired position. Here, it's in the gap on the back piece. Then, make 3 chains to start. Follow with 1 chain for spacing. Next, work along the edge of double crochets on the left side. Work 3 consecutive double crochets. These 3 stitches, we call a leaf. Follow with 1 chain for spacing. Skip the next edge of double crochets. On the following edge of double crochets, work 1 leaf and 1 chain. After completing, work a DC3 in 1 stitch at the required positions respectively. Work 3 incomplete double crochets. Then yarn over and draw through all loops in once. The DC3 in 1 stitch is completed. Work 1 chain on the left side. On the bottom chain of the V-shaped loop, work 1 leaf and 1 chain. Continue to pick such positions. alternately working leaves and chains. Keep going until you reach the shoulder area. Then, along the side edge of the back piece, continue to alternate between leaves and chains. Pay attention to the insertion points here, which include the side of double crochets, the beginning chain edge, and the stitch positions. If you are at a beginning chain, or the side of double crochets, pick up the entire stitch pattern to crochet. If you are at a stitch position, work into the same stitch. Refer to the chart for specific positions. Continue working until you reach the first 2 rows of the bust piece. You are now at the corresponding position. Work a DC3 in 1 along the edges of these 2 rows, and 1 chain stitch. Next, in the center of these few stitches on the left side, in the gap between 2 half double crochets, work 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. Then pick up the gap on the left where you join the yarn, and work 2 double crochets. After completing, join with a slip stitch in the beginning chain. Then secure the yarn tail. The first round, sleeve body. This completes the first round. Continue to crochet the second round. First, join the yarn on the left side of the chain stitch braid. Then make 3 chains as the beginning chain. Note that you should bring the yarn tail from the previous round with you. This makes it convenient for the next crocheting session. After completing, set it aside for later use. Continue to crochet 2 double crochets. This completes 1 leaf. Then work 1 chain stitch. After completing, on the left side of the chain stitch, crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. Then pick up the left side chain stitch braid and the stitch. Work 1 DC3 in 1 stitch. Then make 1 chain stitch. Next, pick up the left side chain stitch braid again. Crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch respectively. Continue crocheting until you reach the shoulders chain stitch. Now you have reached this position. Crochet 1 double crochet and 1 chain stitch. This is equivalent to decreasing a stitch. Continue on the left side chain stitch braid. Crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. Keep crocheting until you reach the decrease position from the previous round. After completing, work 1 DC3 in 1 stitch. One chain stitch. Then crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. Next, join with a slip stitch in the beginning chain. Then secure the yarn. At this point, the second round is complete. Continue to crochet the third round. Pick up the yarn that is ready to use and draw it through at the required position. Then make 3 chain stitches as a beginning chain. Pay attention to bringing the yarn tail from the previous round along. This makes it convenient for the next crocheting session. Then, refer to the chart to crochet the entire round. Note: there is also a need to decrease stitches at the shoulders here. Don't miss this step. After completing, secure the yarn. Let's take a look at the remaining part of the left sleeve. After completing each round, join with a slip stitch at the beginning chain. Then secure the yarn tail. For the right sleeve, if you need to switch colors in the next round, secure the yarn tail and fasten off the yarn. When continuing with the same yarn for the next round on the right sleeve, refer to the chart. Slip stitch to transition the yarn tail position on odd numbered rounds. Slip stitch to transition the yarn tail position. The slip stitches for transitions are all indicated in the chart. Whether to crochet them depends on your actual crocheting needs. Now let's look at the crocheting pattern for the sleeve body. The entire sleeve body is mostly made up of leaves and chain stitches. In the 4th and 5th rounds from the back, you will need to decrease at the shoulders. Refer to the chart for specific decrease positions. After that, continue crocheting without increasing or decreasing. All the stitch techniques have been demonstrated before. Just follow the chart to complete the sleeve body section. Continue using this sample. Let's start crocheting the cuffs. Make 3 chains to start. Then skip 1 stitch and work into the next stitch. Work 1 double crochet. The pattern for this round of crochet is, for every skipped stitch, work 1 double crochet. While crocheting, you also need to work DC2 tog. To adjust the total number of stitches, refer to the chart for specific positions. Now complete this round. After completing, join with a slip stitch in the starting chain. The first round is complete. Continue to crochet the second round. Start with 2 chains as the turning chain for the back post double crochet, as the starting chain for the back post double crochet, then work 1 back post double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook from right to left around the post of the stitch, yarn over and draw through. Pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Repeat twice. The back post double crochet is completed. Then work 1 front post double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook from left to right around the post of the stitch. Yarn over and draw through. Pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Repeat twice. The front post double crochet is completed. Work another front post double crochet. Yarn over. Insert from the right side to the left side. Yarn over and draw through. Pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Repeat twice. The front post double crochet is completed. Work 2 more back post double crochets. Yarn over. Insert from the right side out to the left side, in around the post of the stitch. Yarn over and draw through. Pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Repeat twice. The back post double crochet is completed. Work 1 more stitch. Let's take a look after completing it. This round consists of 2 front post double crochets, alternating with 2 back post double crochets. Continue all the way down this round. Pay attention when you reach the decrease position from the previous round. Make sure to pick up the entire DC2 tog before working. After completing, join with a slip stitch in the beginning chain. The second round is complete. Move on to the third round. This round is worked in the same way as the second round. Start with 2 chains as a beginning chain. Here you can also work according to the texture below. When you encounter a back post double crochet, BPDC, that is indented, work a back post double crochet on it. When you encounter a front post double crochet, FPDC, that is raised, work a front post double crochet on it. Finish this round like this. For the remaining rounds of the cuff, follow the demonstration here. After completing, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Then weave in the ends. That's how you complete the cuff. Up to this point, the entire sleeve is completed. Next, refer to this demonstration to crochet the right sleeve. Pay attention to the edge of the right cuff compared to the left one. Make sure to match the width and length. This ensures that the 2 sleeves don't differ too much. Next, let's look at crocheting the front band. Here, the front band is crocheted in rounds on the left and right front pieces, and the back piece after they are joined together. Crochet in rounds. For the first round, crochet double crochets DC in a circle. Pay attention, there are increases at the corner positions. The following rounds consist of FPDC and BPDC. The technique is similar to the cuffs. Similarly, you need to increase stitches at the corners. Note that the stitch pattern changes at the increase positions. Almost all stitches are worked in the space between 2 double crochets. Refer to the chart for specific techniques and positions. In the third round, you also need to crochet buttonholes on the right front piece. To make a buttonhole, chain 1, corresponding to the stitch below. Then continue crocheting on the next stitch on the left side. When you reach this chain stitch in the next round, pick up the entire chain and work a double crochet into it. This is how you crochet a buttonhole. There are no new stitch techniques for the entire front band. Everyone can simply follow the chart to crochet. After completing the front band, align both sides of it. On the other side of the front band, attach buttons opposite the buttonholes. Secure them roughly in the middle position of the front band. The method of securing can be random, as long as they are firmly attached. That concludes the front band section. Next, we will crochet the pocket. Start the pocket with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. When crocheting, use 2 strands of yarn and alternate colors. After completing it, secure it to the left front piece. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Then chain 3. Next, on the magic ring, Follow the chart and work the corresponding stitches. After completing, tighten the magic ring. Then slip stitch into the top of the beginning chain. Secure the yarn tail. The first round is complete. Move on to crochet the second round. Before you start, notice that the first round roughly forms a square. Join the yarn at the corner position of this square. Pay attention to wrapping the yarn tail from the first round. Crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. At the left corner position, crochet 1 leaf, 2 chain stitches, 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. Following the stitch pattern at this corner. Continue crocheting 2 more groups. After completing them, at the left corner position, crochet 1 leaf and 2 chain stitches. Then pull through with a slip stitch on the turning chain. Secure the yarn tail. Continue with the third round. Join the yarn at the corner position. Pay attention to wrapping the yarn tail from the previous round. Then crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. At the edge position, which is also a chain stitch position, crochet 1 leaf and 1 chain stitch. At the corner position, crochet 2 leaves, with an interval of 2 chain stitches between them, then crochet 1 more chain stitch. After completing this, take a look. The pattern for this round is, at the corner position with 2 chain stitches, crochet 2 leaves, with an interval of 2 chain stitches between them. At the remaining chain stitch positions, crochet 1 leaf each. Between each pair of leaves, there is an interval of 1 chain stitch. Follow this pattern to complete this round. After completing it, join with a slip stitch. Secure the yarn. Take a look. The crochet method for the remaining part of the pocket, except for the last round. The crochet method for the remaining parts is the same as the third round. Refer to the previous demonstration. Follow the chart until one round before completing the pocket. This is what the sample looks like after completion. Let's continue with the final round. Make one beginning chain, then correspondingly make single crochets. Correspondingly make single crochets. When you reach the corner position, pick up the chain braid, and crochet 5 consecutive single crochets. Take a look. In this round, crochet 5 single crochets at each corner position. For the rest of the positions, work into each stitch in sequence. Follow this pattern to complete this round. After completing it, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Then weave in the yarn tail on the wrong side. Next, attach this pocket to the left front piece. Place the pocket in the desired position first. Note that the pocket should not extend beyond the front band. You can use stitch markers to secure the edges and corners here, to prevent misalignment when securing. Here, I will demonstrate using this small sample. Pay attention. When attaching, you need to leave an opening at the top of the pocket. Find the second leaf from the left. Corresponding to the right side chain stitch is this single crochet. Join the yarn at this stitch. Since the sample is small, so we join the yarn at this position on the left side. Then start crocheting slip stitches, not tightened, corresponding to each stitch. Pay attention to insert the hook into both layers of the fabric piece as you crochet. Try to keep the pocket and the lower fabric piece as flat as possible. If there are any uneven parts while crocheting, you can undo and recrochet them. Continue like this until you reach the top edge. Find the second leaf from the right. Since the sample has fewer leaves, we crochet up to this leaf on the right side. Now that we've reached the required position, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Take this yarn tail. and pull it through the last stitch where the hook was inserted. Then weave in the tail on the wrong side. That concludes how to make this pocket. Up to this point, we have covered everything about this garment. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.